2020 race for president. We're keeping a close eye on results from Nevada right now. With 88% of the vote there counted, we're coming on to bring you an update from election officials in Clark County, the largest county in Nevada. Let's listen in.
Support. So on election day at the drop-off locations at all vote centers and the election department, there were 34,743 ballots dropped off. The U.S. Postal Service, as of election day and yesterday, brought to us 4,208 ballots, and there were 24,311 ballots that were pending when we stopped processing to get ready for election day. So that brings us to a total of 63,262. Today, and has already begun counting, a little over 51,000 ballots that will be reported tomorrow prior to my 10 a.m. brief. It's important that everybody understand that there are also additional ballots that are pending outside of what I just described. So I'm briefly going to go through those. The provisional ballots that were cast during the early voting on election day. The first announcement that I need to make is that the posting that was placed on our website on election night and yesterday was incorrect. We determined that our tabulation software was incorrectly duplicating those records, and so the 120,000 that you may have seen on our website is an incorrect number. That has been corrected. And the post that is out on our website now at www.clarkcountynv.gov/vote is correct. And those provisional ballots number a little over 60,000. We have top-down voter registration jurisdiction. And so all 17 counties need to send information to the secretary because there's not one single database that we all draw from. We all have our own. And so in coordinating with the Secretary of State, we're awaiting instructions from them on when to send our provisional listing up to them, because we need to make absolutely certain that nobody who's casted a provisional ballot here in Clark County has done so in another county. So we're waiting instructions from them on when to send that report so we can make that verification. Staff is still currently working on all of those provisional ballots to make determinations as to whether the voter was eligible to cast that provisional ballot. That work will be ready once we notify the Secretary of State, and it is an automated process to pass those provisional ballots into the tabulation system. We have a group of voters who are ID required for one reason or another. The deadline for those voters to get back to us is Friday, November 6th at 5 p.m. So that is another group of ballots that we will need.
Bear with us here. We're obviously having some problems with the feed coming out of Nevada, but let's go back to Joe GLORIA, the registrar there.
Ballot that's been postmarked November 3rd. We will continue to receive those ballots separate from what previously reported. The cure process in Nevada, which is statutorily required for those voters who have been notified that they either did not sign their ballot or their signature did not match in our system. They have the last day that we can tabulate and send ballots into the system is November 12th. So that night we will stay here entering ballots. Be done counting by that date. With that information, we hope that I've clarified a lot of the questions. We are anticipating to have the bulk of our mail ballot that have been received into the system by Saturday or Sunday. Those ballots that are coming in through the U.S. mail or that are being cured will be a small number, and we will continue to put those in. But the bulk of our ballots we're hoping will be read by Saturday or Sunday. And again, we won't complete until November 12th with all of those other ballots that serve as exceptions. So with that information, I've got a short period of time here where I can answer some questions from you.
Why such a slow count? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering.
All right, we've been listening to Joe GLORIA. He's the Clark County Registrar in Nevada. Clark County, the biggest, most populous county in Nevada. Nevada has loomed as large as it ever has in this particular election. Right now, it's down to about 11,000, maybe close to 12,000 voter gap right now, with Joe Biden out in front. And there you're looking at the Clark County layout on the map. Chuck Todd is here. We didn't get all the numbers. He's trying to account for what has not been reported. We expected to hear more Nevada numbers today.
We did, and we've been getting in a trickle. And we should remind people the vice president started, the former vice president started the day with a lead of just under 8,000. So what has come in has actually expanded his lead so far up to 11-4. But look, we thought we were going to get a lot more of those mail ballots from Clark County today. That is a reminder. November 12th, by the way, November 12th, an important date because that's a North Carolina, that's probably the next time we get North Carolina ballots. So November 12th on both coasts, we could finally get some updates there. So this is a trickle in, but so far, what has been added has expanded Biden's lead there. It is interesting what he said about the provisionals. Casey and I were talking about, we've heard that the Trump campaign believes actually normally provisionals traditionally, historically have benefited the Democratic candidate. In Nevada, they think it may benefit them and in Arizona. So they have some hope on the provisionals. The fact that there's now half of what they thought, certainly it's probably a disappointment to them. I do want to go quickly because everything is, here Biden is expanding his lead. That's good news. By the way, if you're asking about Arizona, we haven't gotten an update since last night. I will say this, with what's remaining, Donald Trump has to win 57% of the ballots counted going forward to have a shot at overtaking. And again, as I mentioned about provisionals, there are some provisional ballots, an unknown amount that could be added to the total. The Trump campaign thinks that will benefit them. We'll see. Again, I traditionally say the Biden campaign, particularly here, believes it would benefit them. I think in Georgia it definitely will. We don't know, but these two western states.
But Trump has been seeing some of those margins and some of the returns close to over 58, 57.
It was 58 the first one, but it's right on the number that he would need in order to keep it alive. That's why we haven't called it. We want to see more data from Arizona before we can say for sure that the president has no chance of catching Joe Biden. Let me take you to Georgia. This is another one that's been trickling in. You see the margins down to 13.5 below 14,000. And look, we've been telling you, they've all been coming in, looks like, from these blue counties because Biden's been winning at about a 70% clip. If he continues that with what we think is left, it's somewhere in the 45 to 55,000 range of ballots. Which is obviously enough. This is going to be a tie, and you'd rather be Biden, because in here, they believe provisionals are going to help Biden. And then let me take you to Pennsylvania, where Kristen Welker's got some reporting now that it's her understanding that not only are we starting to see some Philly trickle in, as we've shown you for a long time we weren't, we do think he's going to get an advantage out of here, maybe in the 440 range. So we think he gets another 70,000 net there, which, so I can show you there, that would basically cut Trump's lead more than in half. And what we expect today, according to Kristen Welker's sources, are the rest of the Philly burbs coming in. Chester County, the vote-by-mail ballots, we assume it's a floor of 58% of them that will go Biden. It could be higher, vote by mail. The Democrats have been favoring that. So the rest of Montgomery County, you see there, a minimum 63% clip he's been winning. Bucks County, remember this morning, Casey, he was below 50 as the numbers have come in. So Biden is picking up gains there as well. So it's possible, if our numbers are right, as these votes get counted and they stay in the same range, it's possible that Joe Biden takes the lead in Pennsylvania by this. If these numbers keep coming in at the rate they're coming in, and they're able to finish counting, we think if this is what's remaining, it should put him in the lead. So it's going to be a day where we may see some movement in Georgia, some movement in Pennsylvania. obviously it looks like Nevada's a tad slower than what we thought we would
And
get.
Casey Hunt is here, and the Trump campaign is trying to stop the counting in Nevada.
That does seem to be the case, and we've had the president issuing some statements through the day, a tweet, and then an official statement that elaborated on the tweet about stopping the count. I mean, but as you know, Chuck has been pointing out here, it doesn't make a ton of sense if you're the Trump campaign, only because it seems like this would leave Biden in the lead if they were to stop counting right this second. So, you know, we're trying to sort through that a little bit, but you know, I think this is the story of today is these slow, crawling, really, vote counts in these states that are all just so incredibly close. And, you know, Democrats that I've been talking to have been confident all the way along about Arizona. And, of course, there are a couple news organizations that have already called Arizona for Biden. We have been more careful in that. And it does seem as though the count there is going to be actually closer than perhaps some Democrats anticipated. But Pennsylvania and Georgia, you know, in particular in Georgia, Democrats I was talking to over the last several days have been very reluctant to say we're going to project confidence that we're going to win in Georgia. And then for a period of time, it was just so close, it was impossible to say. That's starting to shift a little bit. They're starting to say, yes, you know what, we would rather be us than them. And we think that this is a state that could ultimately flip for Joe Biden. And obviously, if that happens, then all of a sudden, the way that we're having this conversation, the focus on the western states is a little less.
So we were listening to the registrar in Clark County, Nevada, going over some numbers, and unfortunately we had some technical issues. We didn't hear everything. Let me go to Jacob Soboroff in North Las Vegas. He's at that press conference. He was trying to, I know, explain how much vote is still out there. What did you learn, Jacob?
Lester, 63,000 approximately outstanding ballots here. And we asked very specifically, and standing next to my colleague Jolene Kent as well, a couple of things. We asked, let's take a step back here because they're still doing the press conference, but Lester, we asked very specifically, why is it taking so long if they have the capacity to count 70,000 ballots a day, which is what he told the assembled press yesterday, and there's only 62,000 remaining, Lester. And the answer is, he said it was step by step. They weren't ready to actually process and count those ballots. Joe Kent, who's standing right behind me, also asked him about allegations of election fraud that were leveled today by Acting Director of Intelligence Rick Grinnell, former Acting Director of Intelligence, who was here on behalf of the Trump campaign. He said there is no evidence of voter fraud in this area, and it is an unfounded claim. It's something that I also asked former Acting DNI Grinnell earlier today when he showed up here outside the facility. I want you to take a look at that real quick, Lester. Watch this. Can you talk about the evidence? You are claiming thousands of illegitimate votes here in Nevada. What's the evidence?
You should go in and ask the question of the Clark.
No.
Which you haven't done yet.
You guys just made the claim. No, in fact, you also said there's no election observers. There's Democratic and Republican election observers inside. Mr. Grinnell, former DNI Grinnell, acting DNI, where's the evidence of the fraud? You haven't presented any evidence of fraud.
Where's the evidence?
They've presented no evidence of fraud, Craig. So we're live on MSNBC. You've said thousands of illegitimate ballots. Thousands of illegitimate ballots. Where are they? Where's Matt Schlapp? Where are the illegitimate ballots? Where are the illegitimate ballots? So, Lester, no answer, obviously, from former acting DNI Rick Grinnell. I want to show you something, though. They talked about the election observing, that there's no election observing. They're allowed to do election observing. Come with me right now. This is where the votes are being counted inside this facility. The press conference is still taking place over there. These are literally election observers. You all are election observers, correct? Are you observing the election here? Thank you very much. And Republicans and Democrats right now? Yes. Republicans and Democrats. So you heard what Rick Grinnell had to say to me, Lester, but the facts belie what we were told. No evidence was presented about voter fraud. And then you just heard from Joe GLORIA over here that, yes, it's taking a while to count the votes here. They're trying to be deliberate, but there is also no evidence of voter fraud. The Trump campaign has essentially said, we'll see you in federal court.
Yeah, in the meantime, so November 12th is the last date they'll be taking in ballots there. That's correct?
That's correct, Lester. And then the other thing to remember is that there's some confusion on that as well, because the dates that have been laid out by the Secretary of State, the 10th of this month was the last time that they could get the mail-in ballot certified. The 12th was for signatures. The 16th was for certification. We'll try to get some clarification on that here.
All right, Jacob, thank you for shedding some light on some of those claims and also showing us those observers in action. And Casey, this is, you know, the president made clear weeks ago that was going to be the claim. There was fraud. He put out a statement today about, you know, I'll easily win the election if you count the illegal and late votes. No one has put forth any proof of anything awry.
No one has, and Jacob did an incredible job of making that point because they had no answer for him as he was following Rick Grinnell there. I think it's also important to point out, Lester, that the president's not getting any backup from other Republicans right now about these claims of fraud. Other Republicans are saying essentially what the Biden campaign is saying, which is count all the votes, count all of the legal votes. Let's work through that process. And I think that's pretty telling because right now Joe Biden has more passed to 270 electoral college votes than President Trump does, and I do think that there is a sense, certainly among people I'm talking to, that they do very much want to underscore the integrity of this process. Their futures rely on the integrity of that as well. And don't forget, many down ballot Republicans actually won. So this is a situation, I think, where that dynamic potentially becomes very important if, in fact, these counts drag out. We're still dealing with this sort of push-pull of narratives, the president trying to write one where the election results are not legitimate, Joe Biden trying to say, wait and hold on. The president's really out there by himself.
Well, let's drill down to what the vice president is saying, former vice president. We'll go to Kristen Welker at the Biden headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware. Kristen, a lot of moving parts today. What are they saying?
A number of moving parts, Lester, and the Biden campaign continues to strike a note of confidence. During a call with reporters earlier today, one top Biden official saying victory is imminent. So that underscores what they are thinking at this hour inside the Biden campaign. Now, of course, they don't get to make that determination. We need to look at the votes in order to make that determination. But let me take you inside their thinking, inside each of these states that we are talking about. Pennsylvania, of course, we have had so much focus on Pennsylvania that Chuck just talked about at the top. The fact that we are anticipating we could see some more results potentially from Philadelphia and the surrounding suburbs by the end of the day or this evening is significant. The Biden campaign feels as though that would ultimately benefit them, and they believe that they will prevail in Pennsylvania. It might be by a narrow margin, but that is their stance at this hour. Now, let's talk about Nevada. Nevada gets more complicated. We just had those numbers come in. Biden expanding his lead by a small margin. But look, they're bracing for a really tight race within Nevada. They say they wouldn't be surprised if they saw some volatility in terms of these numbers that we're seeing heading into the final stretch. And then you talk about a state like Georgia, Lester. I spoke to one Biden official who said it's going to be very, 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 very close. So that's four varies. Gives you a sense of the fact that it's going to be a real nail biter. And I think they're bracing for a similar result in Arizona. What I can tell you, though, Biden continues to watch the returns here with his family in Delaware, and I am told we will hear from him at some point today. It's significant, Lester, because we heard from him yesterday. He was out front on election night, clearly trying to take control of the narrative here as the entire country and world waits for these results to roll in.
All right, let's see how many varies they're counting at the White House right now. Peter Alexander, Kristen, thanks. Peter Alexander is there. What are you hearing from the Trump campaign?
You know, we can tell you, Lester, that the president has now moved to the West Wing this morning. Remarkably, we have not seen him since his remarks in the wee hours of election night, now approaching 36 hours without a public statement from the president. But we've certainly heard a lot from him on Twitter and in statements from the campaigns. You'll remember early this morning, at all caps, the president tweeted, "Stop the count," which didn't seem to make a lot of sense, including to some of his own advisors, because if you were in some form able to stop the count now, the president would lose to Joe Biden. Later, we were told that aides to the president were able to convince him that he had to sort of shift the messaging here. So then he later tweeted, "Stop the fraud," insisting that there is fraud taking place right now, despite no evidence to this point of any voter fraud that's happened anywhere, frankly, as we pursue what's going on around the country. You heard Jacob Sobroff's exchange there with one of the Trump campaign officials a little bit earlier. Then the president released a statement a short time ago through his campaign where he wrote, "If you count the legal votes, I easily win the election. If you count the illegal and late votes, they can steal the election from us." So certainly that's not so much a message of optimism as it is one of defiance and real frustration that we're hearing behind closed doors right now from folks in and around the president's circle. They say that things are looking good for them. They insist that they think they can come back in this race. But as one advisor told us a while ago, he has to get lucky everywhere, but they think they are still in this race. They acknowledge the paths are closing right now for the president And as we witness from those numbers, it appears to be true. Lester.
All right, thanks very much. Let me finish up with Chuck here. So give us a viewer's guide. People, when are these numbers going to come in? When are we going to see some resolution?
Well, it looks like Nevada is going to have to take till the weekend. I mean, let's just be realistic there. I mean, if we're sitting there, Clark County is just too much a big chunk of it. I got two quick updates. We have 50,000, according to the Secretary of State, in Georgia as of 12:55, so 35 minutes ago. 50,000 more votes to be counted in Georgia. That is plenty.
What's the gap there?
Plenty to overcome a 13,000 vote gap, I believe is what we're sitting on there, especially if Joe Biden keeps winning at this 70% clip that he would need to win by. A little update on North Carolina. I am starting to not see the numbers to figure out how Joe Biden catches Donald Trump there. We got an update from North Carolina that says this. There are 40,000 outstanding provisional ballots. There are potentially 116,000 unreturned absentee ballots. But that doesn't mean that everybody that requested a ballot is going to send that ballot back. The estimation is that maybe there's 30,000. So we're looking at, if you throw all the provisionals and the 30 that's out there, he trails by 76,000 votes. There may only be another 80,000 total that they even count in North Carolina. So North Carolina might be one that you sort of assume doesn't flip.
Did Georgia get us to 270?
Georgia at 16 right now would not. I believe it would keep us one short. He's sitting at 253 in ours. Add your 16. How's our math doing this way?
That
puts us at 269. He'd be one short.
Right.
He still needs Nevada or Arizona.
All right. Well, none of us are going to go very far. You've been watching an NBC News Decision 2020 special report. We'll have more election results as they come in throughout the day, and much more tonight on NBC Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt. For all of us at NBC News, thank you for watching. We will see you along the way.